Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had yourself a great weekend. I know I did. I finally got to go fishing for the first time in 2021. It was beautiful out there, considering it was the middle of January, and I did really, really well. So if you had as good a time as me, then you are happy to be alive and free in the good old USA. But I don't know how much longer. I don't know how much longer we're going to be free, ladies and gentlemen. We got a story today for you that is sad, it's scary, kind of breaks your heart, makes you realize the direction we're heading in, and it is, well, I don't know how else to put it. It is a bit troubling. And that is that DC, talking about Washington, DC, is right now under permanent military guard. We are under armed military guard in our nation's capital. And it doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. In fact, there are indications that they're going to keep them there until March. And we'll get into some of the reasons why in just a moment. But Big Daddy Unlimited, got to talk about Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU, our sponsor. We're tremendously grateful for them. As I tell you all the time, not everybody can be a fighter, but you can support those of us in the fight, and Big Daddy Unlimited is both a fighter and a supporter of those of us in the fight. To get to them, all you got to do is look at the top of our show, no matter when or where you're watching it. Look above the video, scroll down on our description, you'll see the link to Big Daddy Unlimited, your Second Amendment headquarters. I call them that because you get factory direct pricing on guns and ammunition. Yes, I said factory direct pricing on guns and ammunition delivered directly to your door, including thousands of items of all kind of tactical gear, protective wear while it's still legal. They're trying to take that away from us. And even swag. You can even get Second Amendment swag there. And I call them your headquarters because Big Daddy Unlimited is becoming not only your vendor of choice, but your protector of choice for your Second Amendment rights, which unless you've been living under a rock, are under threat like never before. And then, of course, we have patriotthreads.org, apparel with a purpose. patriotthreads.org. They have all kind of different patriotic gear that can help you with charity events. Check them out. Remember the promo code JMT, John Martin Talks, just the initials, JMT, and you get 20% off. Recoil TV. We're on Recoil TV. That's a separate YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is John Martin Talks. Spell it all the way out. We appreciate people going there and watching it live. That's the only place at the moment, by the way, that you can make comments that I can respond to. You can still comment on Facebook, but until, I guess, February 7th, I'm under lock and key, man. Free John Martin. I can't respond to what you're doing there. That's why you hadn't seen me post memes or anything else, or like or even wish you happy birthday. I can't do that. But Recoil TV on YouTube, they are a go-to place for Second Amendment issues, for showing you how to use the latest weaponry, what is coming online, history, all kind of different things about the Second Amendment, and we have our own channel there. And because we are under attack, because we're a strong conservative voice, we're under attack, threatened to be deplatformed, put in various kinds of jail. They hadn't put me in the real jail in a long time, but and I'm not, God grace, I won't ever go back there. But due to the move by big tech to deplatform conservative free speech, we will be moving John Martin Talks to a new secure platform so that we can continue to broadcast. Please download the Recoil TV app found in the link below, same link where our sponsorship is. Right now it's available, the link is, or the Recoil TV app at the Apple Store and Google Play Store. But you never know, because all of that kind of stuff is under attack. In addition, you can go directly, and this is very important, you can go directly to johnmartintalks.tv and see our shows archived there. At the moment, we're not broadcasting live over that, but you can see our shows uploaded on a daily basis. To see all episodes and continue watching my show, because we're determined, ladies and gentlemen, to be your voice of freedom. We're not going to abandon the public square. We're going to expand our reach as far out as we possibly can, and we appreciate that very much. But remember, www.johnmartintalks.tv. All right, let's get into the stories here. This is a Politico article, and it's really interesting coming from Politico, which is clearly a leftist publication, a liberal leftist publication. But even they, in this article, bring out some facts about our troops that are in D.C. that are a bit troubling. Here's the title: Impeachment Trial to Keep National Guard Troops at the Capitol. Former President, that picture right there is actually National Guard troops currently stationed in D.C., and you can literally see them patrolling with arms. Did you really think we would get to the point we would have armed troops in D.C.? Armed troops. Right now, there's like 25,000. They're talking about reducing that down to, but still keeping like 5,000. Let's get into it. Former President Donald Trump's upcoming Senate impeachment trial poses a security concern that federal law enforcement officials told lawmakers last week requires as many as 5,000 National Guard troops to remain in Washington through mid-March, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. So, do you smell that? Can you smell what's happening right now? If you smell a little bit of smoke in the air, it's our Constitution on fire, man. Our Constitution is not just being shredded and ignored. It is literally being burned. And that's what's happening, because Washington, D.C. has not seen anything like this since the real Civil War, when we had real insurrection, not the wannabe insurrection we have now. Now, I'm not saying that, that I'm not condoning any violence that happened in the Capitol, and the deaths that happened there are very sad, and people should be prosecuted. But to act like what the left is calling, and even some Republicans are basically calling this an insurrection and akin to Pearl Harbor, is throwing gas on that constitutional fire. And I'm just going to tell it like it is. Let me just put it this way, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying to get what's really happening here. So we're about to have an unconstitutional trial in the United States Senate. And I say it's unconstitutional, you know why? Because it simply is. There's just really no other way to look at it. Even a cursory read of the Constitution shows that impeachment is to have people removed from office. Donald Trump no longer holds an office. Please tell me what office Donald Trump holds. Just like there's no office of president-elect, like Biden was president-elect for like months when even he wasn't. There is no office for ex-president. There is no office for defeated president. There's no office, period, for anybody who is not currently serving. There's no such thing. You can't impeach someone who is not a current office holder. The Constitution is very clear on this. You know what else it's very clear on? You cannot hold a trial in the Senate on a United States citizen that is not holding office. There is a section of the Constitution that it's called attainment, and it deals directly with not having trials of citizens in Congress. Because guess why? Our founding fathers, and I'm still saying the word fathers and mothers and everything else here, our founding fathers knew from experience with the Parliament in England at the time that they were having trials in Parliament outside of their court system of everyday citizens for political purpose. And the founding fathers saw that and the danger of it, and they specifically forbid it in the Constitution. And these yahoos up in Washington, you'd think they would know this. To me, talking about what's Donald Trump's defense, well, first of all, he shouldn't even have to have a defense because they're impeaching him on bogus things that they didn't even have witnesses to. They didn't even do any investigation. And if anybody can watch the video of Donald Trump on the January 6th, and he said peaceful protest. But on top of all of that, they are impeaching him when it's not legal. It's not legal to do so. So it's just crazy. So they're holding an unconstitutional trial of a U.S. citizen, and they feel so good about what they're doing that they're going to surround the situation with barbed wire and armed federal troops. And I'm not knocking our troops, by the way, just to get that, because some of them, as you'll see, aren't too happy about it themselves. And they'll probably need to be deprogrammed. Have you been deprogrammed yet? Deplatformed, maybe. I don't know about deprogrammed yet. The contingency force will help protect the Capitol from what was described as impeachment security concerns. Well, you know, one way to have no concerns, don't hold an illegal trial. I mean, at some point, they keep talking about unity. How are you going to have unity? And what do you expect from people at some point that are already pissed off? Let's face it. Now, you could say there was no mod. And you say, what are you talking about, mod? Well, we can't say the F word here on the show anymore because our language is being restricted. So we can't say the F word. So we can't say there was voter and you fill in the blank. So we just say it's mod. So since there was no voter mod, but there are people who are upset that actually think, and this is, I'm not stating it as a fact. I'm simply saying this is a fact. There are millions of Americans right now that feel like there was voter mod. And they're not going to accept what's happening. And then on top of that, you tell them that the president that they love, that they literally chanted, "We love you." I've never seen a president get that done. I probably should have played that video. We've played it before. It's easy to search out. But, Donald Trump is loved by millions of Americans. Contrary to what the mainstream media, there are millions of Americans, and they're not traitors, and they're not ISIS fighters and everything else, and they're not Japanese, suicide bombers or whatever else. They're just everyday working people that happen to love President Trump. But they believe that the election was, something that might rhyme with a pig squeal. I'm not going to say that S word either. So they believe there was voter mod. And so you're going to assure them and get them to peacefully accept what happened by having a sham unconstitutional trial of an American citizen, because that's what Donald Trump is. He's not an office holder of any kind. He's an American citizen. So you're going to hold him, and you feel so good about it that you're going to have armed forces in the Capitol to make sure there is no unrest. Why would there possibly be any unrest when you're doing everything outside of the Constitution? It just, let's go on. You can tell I'm a little bit riled up this morning. It said, including the possibility of mass demonstrations coinciding with the Senate trial, which is slated to begin the week of February 8th, the impeachment trial of citizen Donald Trump. Biden keeps calling for unity. What was his themes on his inauguration? Something like America Unified or Unify America, something like that. Let me tell you, there's a simple way that Joe Biden, God help us, yes, he is apparently the president of the United States, but if he truly wants unity, there's one thing he could do right now that would go a long way towards bringing people, at least calming them down, and send the federal troops home. He could simply come out as a leader and say, I don't care what happened before, we won, Donald Trump is a citizen now, and we're not going to impeach him. And I'm calling on the House to withdraw the articles. They're supposed to turn them in today, by the way. It's one article. To withdraw that article and to shut this thing down, and let's move on and forward with the business of making America better. He don't have to say great again or whatever, but better. Build back better. Okay, Joe, if we're going to build back better, then how about stopping this illegal trial in its tracks? Remember what President-elect and then President Trump said about Hillary Clinton? Remember, there was a huge push by people who were very loyal to the president, citizens, saying they wanted to lock her up, right? Talking about Hillary Clinton. What did Donald Trump do? He said Hillary has suffered enough. That's exactly what he said. And we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. Now, he probably, if he knew all he knows now, he probably would have, but he didn't. And he's trying to heal. Of course, they never accepted that. But we're supposed to just accept everything while you're holding an illegal, unconstitutional trial of an American citizen that literally millions of people dearly love. Not even just support, but absolutely love, man. Despite the threat, the citizen soldiers on the ground say they have been given little information about the extension and wonder why they are being forced to endure combat-like conditions. Think about that. Our troops are in the nation's capital having to endure conditions like they had to endure at Fallujah. I mean, seriously, that's what they're saying. This is not me saying it. It's Politico and our troops actually saying it, being forced to endure combat conditions in the nation's capital without a clear mission. That's very scary. Think about that. We have armed troops in Washington that don't really know why they're even there. Imagine that. Scary. But the mission is clear. They have a clear mission. Now, I'm not saying our troops want to do this, but the mission is very, very clear to me. It is punish Trump supporters. It is punish anything related to Donald Trump, his family, the man himself. It's a good thing he didn't actually have a dog in the White House, because they'd be wanting to euthanize that dog right now. He's a rabid dog. We got to shoot him down. I mean, think of they'd be impeaching his dog probably. It's just crazy. But unify. They want us to unify. So they want to punish Trump supporters. You know, there is a love fest going on right now between the Washington establishment, the swamp rats of all of them, the military-industrial complex, because it's like party like it's 1999, because they're back in the saddle again. They're loving it, man. They're living large in D.C. right now because the party is on and you're paying the price for it. But I want to play something here. It's about a 2 or 3 minute video, but it's Ocasio-Cortez, you know, the leader of the Twitter twats, as I call them. She is talking about what needs to happen to basically pacify us. She's not really looking for unity. She's looking to pacify us, probably reprogram us. But listen to this about 2 minute long video of all the things she says that need to be done to kind of bring us to heel. Check it out.
That's what we got to do. We got to organize. And I think what we saw in Georgia is a really good example, with Black women leading the way, with multiracial and multicultural organizations leading the way. They proved that Southern states are not red states. They are suppressed states, which means the only way that our country is going to heal is through the actual liberation of Southern states, the actual liberation of the poor, the actual liberation of working people from economic, social, and racial oppression. That's the only way. That's the only way. We just got to keep pushing. But tonight, the votes that happened were to urge Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th. And then tomorrow we vote on impeachment. We will be impeaching the President of the United States tomorrow. And so I want to be clear to Senator Ted Cruz. You do not belong in the United States Senate. I want to be clear to Senator Josh Hawley. You do not belong in the United States Senate. You do not belong in any democratically elected seat when you do not believe that that election was even legitimate, according to your self-serving claims. So get out. If they had any shred of integrity about their claims, their lies really, but their claims about this election, they would take off their pin and turn it in. But this isn't about the truth to them. This is about if they want to be president in 2024. Let me give you a sneak peek. You will never be president. you will never command the respect of this country. Ever. Ever. And you should resign.
That's good enough.
So should every member of Congress that voted to overturn the results of our election.
I want to give credit to the Blaze for putting that video together. That was actually Ocasio-Cortez, I think probably on her Instagram account or whatever. But she says there's a lot to break down there. She says, first of all, the southern states need to be liberated, deprogrammed, liberated, pacified, reconstruction. Check it out, snowflakes. That wasn't a very good time in our country. But she's talking about that to Trump supporters. She goes on to just go on and on about the illegitimacy of duly elected senators from Texas and Ted Cruz, duly elected senator of Josh Hawley from the great state of Missouri, that they need to resign today, right now, and they could never be president because they question the legitimacy of the election. So I'm just going to, we talk about standards, double standard. As I've been telling you, there is no double standard. There's only one standard. And people like me are put in jail and held to a standard. Donald Trump is held to a standard that he's going to be unconstitutionally tried because he dared to be president of the United States. His only real crime is that he actually gave a damn. I mean, that's really it. And they don't like it. And he inspired millions of people. Donald Trump got the most votes in the history of any sitting president, period, ever. Now, Joe Biden, whether it was through election fraud, we can't say the F word or whatever, he won. At least that's what they're telling us, and he's sworn in. And at the end of the day, he's in the White House. And all the rest of us are in the outhouse or the doghouse, right? But if we're going to use, so I say there is no double standard. There is one standard, and people like me are held to it. What standard is Ocasio-Cortez handled? What is she held to? And she talks about if you question the legitimacy of a duly elected president, then you should resign. There's only one little trouble with that. On this show, we try to hold people to the same standard, period. So I'm going to hold I'm going to use Ocasio-Cortez's standard on somebody you might recognize. Check this out.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind. That's it. I think all the talk about impeachment and what the Democrats should do, that's fine. It's theoretical at this point. Let them investigate. Let them subpoena. Let them go to the Supreme Court. He's illegitimate. And my biggest fear is that he's going to do it again with the help of Vlad, his best pal, and we're going to be stuck for 6 more years with this guy. And that is terrifying. It's terrifying.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree. And one of the things we have to do here.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Did you recognize that guy by any chance? That happens to be, God help us, the current occupant of the White House, Joe Biden, agreeing that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. By Ocasio-Cortez's standard, if there was a double standard, shouldn't Mr. Biden resign immediately? Because he questioned the legitimate election of President Donald Trump. That's just one time that he did it. He did it multiple times. Many people, and pretty much the entire Democratic leadership, actually questioned the legitimacy of Donald Trump. They started trying to impeach the dude before he even took office, for God's sakes. Can we now? Maybe, is it too early to impeach 46? Could I get with Congress and say you need to file impeachment because Donald Trump's out of office, but Joe Biden is in office, right? So therefore he could legally be impeached now. Shouldn't he be impeached? I mean, I got a meme up that'll show you that. Shouldn't he be impeached because he questioned, according to Ocasio-Cortez's own words? Shouldn't we impeach Biden? Is it too soon? or should we let him totally destroy the country? And this, let me back up too. Did you hear in that part where she talked about that we need to stand up for the American worker? Really? And the poor? What has Joe Biden just done in his first few days in office? He's made more poor folks. My son actually published a thing on Facebook. I couldn't respond to it because I'm in jail, where he said, you know, higher gas prices, higher oil and energy prices actually make more people poor. And he got reamed for it. He's got a lot of liberal friends. I appreciate his courage. People came out and supported him too. And he also talked about how and I've talked about this, the pipeline is the most environmentally friendly way to deliver the oil. And that oil is going to be produced in the oil sands of Canada, whether we do the pipeline or not. It's either going to go by ship to China or it's going to go by rail and truck to here, period. They're not going to stop. Canada's already said that, right? But Joe Biden put 11,000 people out of work on day one, boom, and at least 60,000 in peripheral jobs. Now fuel prices are already going up in anticipation of that. Who do you think is hurt more by higher gas prices? Jeffrey Bezos or the guy working at the convenience store? I mean, good Lord, man. It's just crazy that we can't see this stuff, man. It's just unbelievable. Sorry, a little technical difficulty on my side. Dangers of live TV. But let's get back to this story. Around 7,000 troops of the 25,000 are still there will continue to provide riot security. What riots? There's been no riots. Riot security through the beginning of February, with that number decreasing slightly to 5,000 by the time that Trump's impeachment trial begins. I mentioned March. There's actually reports that they want to keep troops at least through March because there's some, and I got to tell you, I don't know much about QAnon. I'm not making a statement about them one way or another. But apparently there's some kind of theory out there that Donald Trump's going to come back, I want to say on March 4th and be president again. I don't know anything about it. But apparently Biden and his bunch do, because they're wanting to keep the troops through March. You know, the most popular president in the history of the world needs troops 24/7, you know, months at a time here. But around 7,000 troops will continue to provide riot security. Let me just ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. What would be happening in D.C. right now if Donald Trump had become president of the United States, regardless of how he got there, whether it was, voter mod or lack thereof, or they actually did, or the Supreme Court actually imagined that did its job in the Texas case. I mean, just for the sake of conversation. What if Donald Trump had won the presidency? What do you think would be happening? Well, we already know right there. That picture looks like the War of 1812, doesn't it? That is actually a real photograph, an aerial shot of D.C. during the Floyd protests when he was killed. And that's tragic. They're very tragic. You know, talk about unity. People were unified around that, but the left would not allow it, right? They had to, nobody I know actually said that was the right thing to do. But here's D.C. on fire. And we didn't call out the National Guard for that. To me, that's more of an insurrection right there than anything that happened on January 6th. And I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form. But here, keep in mind, this is a Politico story. It's not, a far right if there is any. It's not just my opinion. It's Politico's writing here. Morale is low among the troops who describe having to stand guard for hours at a time in full gear with limited access to food and water. Keep in mind, there's no rioting happening in D.C. The rioting is actually happening out in Portland and Tacoma, Washington right now. Portland, Oregon, that's where the rioting is. But protected with limited access to food and water, waiting for hours to be transported to and from their hotels, and very little sleep. These are our patriots up there protecting Biden, I suppose, and being treated like this. This is Politico saying this. Many more, listen to this. This is heartbreaking, man. Many are washing socks and cold weather undergarments in hotel bathroom sinks because they do not have access to laundry facilities. Think about that. And what does Joe Biden always say? God bless our troops. God bless our troops. Now wash your linens in the hotel sink and behave yourself. And I keep reminding you, this is a political art. Listen to this next paragraph. Some talking about our God bless our troops, Joe Biden people. Some have been forced to purchase their own food out of pocket to supplement the sparse meals they have been provided. They're having to pay for their own food up there, which do not provide enough calories, and they can't get enough to eat. Calories to sustain the long days, even meals ready to eat, are hard to come by due to logistical and transportation issues. But Joe Biden says, God bless our troops. I mean, what are we going to have to do? Are we going to have these commercials come out and go, you know, when we show our soldiers with like flies flying around them and bloated belly, for 19 cents a day, you can support an armed federal troop in Washington, D.C. You know, we can't afford to feed our own people, our own troops. Oh, and back to this thing about the workers. I meant to say this. I didn't finish my thought on that. Billy Bob, he's my psychic sidekick here. He's got a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1. And mine is at John Martin Talks. And yes, we're on Twitter. That's another place where you can see our show archived. It takes me a little bit of time to update it. Remember, the only place I can really respond is places like Twitter, or spell out our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks. I'll respond to you as quickly as I can. We're also archived on America's Voice News, AVN, America's Voice News. They have a download on your free app on your Android or your iPhone while supplies last, I suppose. And they're on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Channel 219 Dish Network, and the Pluto channel. But if you go to one of their streaming channels, you can see our show archived on there. We're not currently on there live. We're going to get back to that. But God bless our troops, man. That's what Joe Biden says. But our troops are going hungry in the Capitol. Wow. Can't make this stuff up. The vast majority of Guard members are not full-time soldiers. That's why I thank them all the time. I see them every time I say thank you for your service. Soldiers, and also hold civilian jobs. Many, and I got sidetracked again. I got to make this point. I'm very sorry. In Ocasio-Cortez's language about the poor people and the working stiffs out there and how we got to protect them, Joe Biden in his first 2 days, let alone 100 days, has already killed those jobs and opened, I mentioned that, but I forgot to talk about, going to open up the border, give away free medical care, people bum rushing the border, running from the pandemic. Many of them have the COVID already, and they're coming here. And what jobs are they going to compete for? Americans' jobs. So how does all this policy that the left is for and Ocasio-Cortez is absolutely for it, that Joe Biden is already destroying everything? I mean, they preach this garbage, but they're destroying what they're talking about. The vast majority of Guard members are not full-time soldiers and also hold civilian jobs. Many are law enforcement officers, firefighters, and small business employees with families. I mean, these people are heroes 3 or 4 times over. Supporting small families struggling to juggle bills and child care during the pandemic. For many, listen to this, for many, the D.C. deployment means losing weeks of higher pay in their civilian jobs. So their families are going to suffer for this. But God bless our troops, as old Joe Biden would say. One of the Guard members, listen to this. One of the Guard members, and this is Politico interviewing these people. There were several others. You can look at the article, and I just didn't have time to cover every one of the comments. One of the Guard members who has deployed to the Middle East, in other words, has been overseas there, described, this is what he's describing as happening in D.C. right now. Extremely austere conditions, and compared the D.C. mission to invasion operations. This is Politico printing this. Invasion operations. Invasion operations. But yet we're going to unify America. I guess if you have the pacification police and the deprogramming and liberation and everything else, you know, maybe we'll all be pacified. I don't know. Unified. What's the difference between unified and pacified? Scary, isn't it? But listen to this. Listen, this is, again, I can't emphasize, this is Politico. This is one of the troops here. We essentially invaded and occupied a city, the person said, the one they were interviewing, one of our troops. It was certainly an experience I didn't think I'd have in American city, much less the Capitol. Invaded and occupied the capital of the United States of America. Yet they're talking about Trump supporters and insurrection. To me, think about this. They're calling what happened at the Capitol, and it was terrible as it was, an insurrection. But holding a trial on a citizen, an impeachment trial nonetheless, for someone who no longer has office, who it's unconstitutional to impeach, to not only impeach someone who doesn't have office, but to hold a trial of a U.S. citizen, and that's what Donald Trump, love him, hate him, whatever, he is Citizen Trump once again. He's not the commander-in-chief. I wish the heck he was, but he's not. He's Citizen Trump, so they're going to hold an impeachment trial for someone who's no longer in office, and a trial in the U.S. Senate, which is clearly unconstitutional, and they know it. And to protect all that, they're going to have armed guards around it because they feel so good about what they're doing. They're invading. I mean, what are we becoming, ladies? Even if you hate Donald Trump, does this not concern you? Can you please? I'm begging you, because I really want to know, how can you justify this? And if you want to say, oh, we want to make sure you don't run again, think about that again. Think about that. So do you really want the Senate to actually determine who is qualified to run for president of the United States? Where is that going to take us? Why don't you just have people say, okay, what if when the Republicans, let's put it this way, that they would have never done it because it's wrong, and even if they want, they don't have the cojones to do it. When they had 20 some odd Democrats running for office, why not just hold a trial on all of them and declare them unfit and ineligible to run for office? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is some scary stuff. If this does not scare you, then we got a real problem. That's why I'm battling ignorance and apathy on a daily basis, because that is just ignorant and apathy, and worse, it may be, on purpose. But my God, ladies and gentlemen, look what we're doing because we hate Donald Trump. I mean, is your hatred for Donald Trump so great that you're willing to just burn it down? Because that's what you're doing. It's just crazy. Trump has not commented publicly since leaving office. How would he? He can't go in. He can't do anything. Trump, he's basically on house arrest, right? It's just crazy. Trump has not commented publicly since leaving office 4 days ago, but he has been assembling his defense team for the upcoming trial. What I predict is going to happen, unless Donald Trump just wants to make a major point, which he might. He is a showman. He might want the cameras on him. But I think this trial, and Dershowitz, I heard him say this over the weekend, Alan Dershowitz, he could tie this up in the courts. And if it got to the Supreme Court, of course, you never know about the Supreme Court these days, right? But anybody worth their salt would see that this is unconstitutional and throw the whole thing out. But Trump has not commented publicly since leaving office 4 days ago. He has been assembling his defense team for the upcoming trial. If the former president, not the president, if the former president urges his supporters to protest on his behalf, it could seriously strain law enforcement resources. Already, officials have set up a perimeter around the Capitol using 10-foot barricades with razor wire. 10-foot barricades with razor wire. Going to keep 7,000 troops there for this. Joe Biden, man, this is on you, brother. It's on you, Joe. Stop the madness. End it right now. Have you seen these billboards? I ran into 2 of these. I didn't literally, but I saw them in Tampa, Florida this weekend when I was traveling through to my fishing trip. These are literally FBI billboards. Now, I started to say I don't really have a problem. I do have a problem with them. I think it's ridiculous. But clearly, I guess I shouldn't have a problem, because surely they're similar billboards were put up when this happened right here. Let's play this video. What? Wait a minute. That's not the White. That actually is the courthouse in Portland. We can stop it now. That is the courthouse in Portland. Keep in mind, when that video was shot, this was a few months ago, there were actually federal officers inside that courthouse when they were setting it on fire. Setting it on fire. But I didn't see any FBI billboards up saying, did you have any witnesses? They didn't even arrest the people for the most part. And let me tell you, this is something I found out. I've been noticing this, but it really hit true today. I used to play this video of them when they actually broke into the courthouse and Portland and just ransacked. This is what we do, and burn it down. You know, you can't hardly find these videos. YouTube is taking down videos of actually what happened. Wonder why. What do you think? They want you to know. But Billy Bob tells me that that wasn't an actual, that there was no FBI billboards. My sidekick here. Well, there must have been some billboards when this happened. Check out this video. An attack on the actual White House. Maybe him. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is literally across the street in Lafayette Park from the White House. That's actual video. They're throwing Molotov cocktails at the White House. That's good enough. We can take it down. There weren't any billboards for that. They literally breached. They talk about insurrection. They brought breaching the Capitol. They breached the White House perimeter. Nobody's talking about that anymore. But the White House perimeter was breached, and Secret Service had to open fire on people. And the news media mocked it because they put Donald Trump down, the president Donald Trump, down in the bunker for a little while. I don't care why. I mean, to me, it was stupid to mock that anyway. Where do you think? I mean, they elected a guy in Joe Biden that never came out of the bunker. He's probably living in the bunker right now, and maybe Kamala is occupying the residency. I don't know. But think about that. They had to put the president of the United States in the bunker. The White House perimeter was breached. But that's not insurrection. No billboards up about that, man. I mean, it just reminds me of this meme about Orwell. I've put it up many times, but it is becoming frighteningly true. The more that society drifts from the truth, the more they hate those that speak it. That's why people like me are under attack. I'm in Facebook jail right now for speaking the truth. I have to watch what I say, just mainly because, you know what? I'm not scared, but I want to keep the show going so you can actually watch it. That's one of the reasons I joke about voter mod, but I'm serious about this. I'm trying to make sure that I walk this razor's edge because I want you to hear the truth. As my friend at patriotthreads.org says, one of our sponsors, the truth starts now, and we need the truth. But God bless our troops. Listen to this right here. The renewed security concerns come amid intensifying tensions between the Capitol Police and the National Guard. This is so sad. Last week, Capitol Police officers, let me remind you, you know who controls the Capitol Police? The Speaker of the House. And who's the Speaker of the House? Ocasio-Cortez? Not right now, Nancy Pelosi. Last week, Capitol Police officers forced troops to vacate congressional office buildings where they were taking rest breaks during their shifts that often last 12 to 14 hours. So our troops were hanging out in a parking garage trying to get out of the elements. And the Politico reported approximately 5,000 troops were packed into a parking garage on the Senate side of the Capitol with temperatures dropping as the sun went down, and they got ran out of there. Our troops, God bless our troops. Queen Pelosi is in charge of the Capitol Police Force, and our federal troops, our best, our brightest, our true heroes, are being tossed out into the cold, barely fed, and have to wash their own clothes in a sink in the bathroom. And it's just absolutely atrocious. Well, we're almost over. The show's almost over. I want to play this the last video. So I want to give my producer, who's doing a great job, by the way, down to the very last video. And I want to play this because this, ladies and gentlemen, is really and truly what we're up against. Because they're looking for people. They're looking for anybody who supports Trump. But this action right here is not only condoned, but it is given a blessing as being the new patriotism. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the new patriotism. Check it out.
Be safe, be together, all right? But know what this fucking flag represents. Everybody, raise your fist. Raise your fist right now. Raise your fist. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slavery, genocide, and war. Slavery, genocide, and war. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. America was never great. 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 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slavery, genocide, and war. Slavery, genocide, and war. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. America was never great. America was never
That's enough. I've seen enough. I apologize for the language in that. And it actually, that video gets even worse, but we're out of time. And I think you get the point. And I'm not, I'm not a big, beat up people because they're burning the flag kind of thing. I don't like it. It bothers me, troubles me to my heart. But that's why I'm battling ignorance and apathy daily. If you actually believe that America is the den of Satan, basically. And I'm not saying we have a perfect history. We don't, because there's a book out there somewhere we might ought to get back to reading that says we'll fall short of the glory. I'm not saying that America is all that in a bag of chips as far as perfection. It's not, because it was created by people. But ladies and gentlemen, is there any place you'd rather be than right here in the good old USA? If there is, then maybe, and I'm not love it or leave it, but if you think that America is that bad, then what are you even here for? Because clearly you're not even supporting Joe Biden in that sense, because wasn't he all about the American flag at his inauguration? It is absolute insanity. I pray for our troops in D.C. They need to go home where they can get a good hot meal. Come on down to Hawthorne. I'll feed the guys as long as I can. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to our basic Facebook page. I can't like them. You can like them. But check out our sponsors. Remember our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited and Patriot Threads and Recoil TV. Go to YouTube while we're still up there. John Martin Talks. I can comment on there to you. But above all else, like I say each and every day, let me back up. Pray for this country, because she deserves it and needs it more than ever. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.